YouTube? What's good, YouTube? Thank you for watching the Love and Stars weekly live this week. We have a topic this week and not readings. We finished off our October monthly readings last week, and this particular week we have one of our casts, Prophet BK, also known as BK the Mystic, here to discuss Hoodoo Heritage Month. So we are going to get started just by introducing ourselves first. So if you are here, that means that you are watching the YouTube channel of Leah the Sunstar. That's me. I'm doing some hoodoo work, so that's why my hair is tied down and tied up today. So, hey, yeah, what we're here to discuss. I'm doing some hoodoo cleansing work today. So that's why I look very mother-ish, okay? Because I am a mother. But anyways, we are, I am a psychic intuitive. I am also a medium. And that is my son, and he is a 15-month-old toddler. So that's what he is right now. But I'm sure he's gonna be great things one day too. So I am a tarot reader, and I've been a tarot reader for about 10 years now. And shameless plug. You'll be able to click on my link tree in the bottom of the description. And in the description, you will see that I am now offering psychic readings a couple different ways. So you can book readings with me. And yeah, so shameless plug, please click on the description box if you watch this video later and see how to book a personal reading with me. And tonight we have Prophet BK, BK the Mystic, that is here with us to discuss Hoodoo Heritage Month. So he's going to introduce himself now.
Hello to YouTube world. I am Prophet BK. I am a. I don't even want. I was going to say a hoodoo. It's not a real thing. I'm a hoodoo practitioner, which results under the umbrella of conjure and root work. I've been doing this for over a decade now, and of course, my origins came from the good old Pentecostal PAW, where I was raised and born in a Pentecostal church, and of course, by my 20s, God led me on a journey of discovery, and that's when I began to tap more into the esoteric Jesus and the Aramaic Jesus, and that's when my whole journey changed. So that's how this is a snippet of who I am and how I got the title. Prophet BK was the Enlightened Collective. When I first started coming amongst the group, every time I would give a reading to someone, they would just say, "No, you're not a psychic, you're a prophet." Because there definitely is a difference, but that's not what we're here to talk about tonight. So welcome all. This is Hoodoo Heritage Month, and that's going to be part of the topic for this evening. And that is my intro. The little Marvin over there is just being a baby. So I guess because I pulled up some notes, of course, I'm a Virgo. So yeah, if you see me looking over, I'm on my laptop as well. So what Hoodoo Heritage Month is, it was established to recognize and celebrate the rich cultural heritage of Hoodoo, which encompasses conjure, root work, and herbal traditions developed by African American communities. It serves as a reminder that Hoodoo is a living culture with deep historical roots rather than a mere Halloween novelty. The month is dedicated to honoring the spiritual practices that have been passed down through generations and originating from the knowledge brought by enslaved Africans and evolving through interactions with indigenous people. Now, I did look up some stuff on the internet, and what I saw I didn't like was that it said it was also mixed with European traditions. So if you do Google it and you see that on there, what I am going going to say is that's a lie. Because anything that they got from us. They came and took. That's why they burned down a lot of our libraries. So it's not mixed with no European traditions. There's really nothing European that's original because they have rummaged and pillaged everything that they can get their hands on. So yeah, if you see that on the internet, that is a bold-faced lie. And you want to go even deeper than that. We were already over here, and not just Indians. There were Africans over here as well. So, yeah. So when I kind of saw that part, I really didn't care for that part. But the whole concept of Hoodoo Heritage Month was coined by Mama Roo and the Walking the Kyanga Collective in 2019. It initially proposed as a single day of observance, and it was expanded to a whole month celebration filled with community events, educational activities, and specific holidays dedicated to significant hoodoo history and certain practitioners such as Nat Turner Day, Fannie Lou Hammer Day, John the Conqueror Day, Crossroads Day. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. But for me, well, so they say in October that the veil is very thin.
I mean, it is. It's very thin in October and November. Honestly, it's just that time of year.
I'm gonna be quiet on that. And the only reason I say that is because well, if our ancestors are in our DNA, is there really even a veil? That would be my question. I'm a critical thinker. So, is there even a veil?
Heard.
Where did this concept of the veil even come from? Which is why I love learning the history of hoodoo. Most of the people that I'm around that are hoodoo practitioners, we are very astute and we love to study. Because to me, hoodoo is not just about the roots and the herbs. It's more about the spirit of the ancestors. It's about relationship with the ancestors. It's about finishing the things that they did not get to finish or picking up the baton where they left off. And I hear a lot of discussions around that, but yeah, for me, I never really felt that there was a veil. But everybody got their beliefs, and I
feel like the veil is like, well, what I have thought about the veil is that it is a barrier. That's what I've always thought about it as, is a barrier. Between life and death. And some of us have the ability to see and communicate around that barrier. And I can't say that everybody has that gift, because I don't believe personally that everybody has that gift. I believe that there's a lot of people who have the gift that never tap into it out of fear, out of tradition, out of I'm scared by my slave master's religion. But those of us who tap into our gifts and accept our gifts and use our gifts, we are who we are, but I believe that there is a barrier between life and death. I do believe that. I believe there's a barrier between the living and the dead, and that some of us can communicate and or see. Some of us can travel over into the realm of the dead. It just depends on your gifts. And so that's just my thought on it. Do I believe that there's a veil? Yes, I believe. And the reason why I believe it, because I believe there has to be some type of barrier, like a fence between the worlds. I just, because if that's the case, then if the dead could always access the living and the living could always access the dead, I think we would have some other stuff going on in the world. I mean, I already think, I ain't gonna talk about my political views on here, but get thee behind me, Satan. I already believe that art imitates life.
Yeah.
Through the movies.
Yeah, this is true.
So yeah, go ahead.
One of the things I do like that about Hoodoo also that I researched was about that Hoodoo disrupts and uproots. It holds tight, it brings near, and it lets go. Hoodoo lives and breathes wherever we do. It is a system that was brought out because of oppression. So it was for survival, adaptation, resistance, and reclamation. Reclaiming our power, reclaiming our voice. Also, it was about evening the playing field. Let's see. Let's say out here on my notes. Now, people say it's a religion. It's not a religion because you can be a Buddhist and still practice Hoodoo. You could be a Christian and still practice Hoodoo. You can be a Catholic and still practice Hoodoo. So it is not a religion. It's more of spiritual principles and practices. And it's a lived experience. Hoodoo is not just wearing a dashiki and wearing a kufi and wearing a ankh. It's a lifestyle. It's so funny because when people come to my home, when they first come to my home, they're always like, "Oh wow, like you're really, really about this life." I'm like, "Yeah, this isn't just like a fad for me or a trend. It's a lifestyle." We breathe and live Hoodoo.
Yeah.
What I also like about it too is that we use what we have to get what we need.
Absolutely. Just regular, smegular, degular. Now, we done got fancy with Hoodoo over the years. But Hoodoo started off with, with our ancestors, I guess I feel like our African ancestors that were brought over here were forced into a belief system, but they came from a belief system. And the bones, the roots, the herbs, the rocks, the everything that they had access to in our, I would say, I guess you could say ancestral lands, ancestral country, or ancestral continent or lands, when they were brought here, being forced into a religion, or I'm saying, being forced to practice something that maybe they didn't want to practice, and then, or to believe in and adapt to. I feel like Hoodoo and conjure both were a way for us to maintain, were a way for our ancestors to maintain our lineage, our roots, in a way that's, like you said, practice and manifest the things that, just basically taking what we were brought up in, what we were taught, our ancestors were brought up in and taught, and bringing it to where we are now. I truly believe that's how Hoodoo came to be. I believe that it was just African practices, African spiritual practices that we had to adapt to in order to survive slavery and in order to keep a semblance of our roots. And so, household products like, herbs we could grow, like thyme and rosemary, and crushing chicken bones, and crushing eggshells, and doing all those things, that I feel like it was brought with us. It was brought with our ancient ancestors here.
Yes. I've actually been reading.
Welcome to those who are watching. Thank you for joining. We are talking about Hoodoo Heritage Month. Welcome to the conversation.
As everybody know that I'm a nerd and I love to read. So I'm rereading Mojo Working by Katrina Hazard Donald. And this is how she breaks it down. I love this. This it was just excellent. Hoodoo is the indigenous herbal healing and supernatural controlling spiritual folk tradition of the African American in the United States. Hoodoo
Mm.
Hoodoo has endured numerous labels, among them black magic, witchcraft, devil's work, and superstition. Though other less names include spirit work, root work, conjure, spiritualism, psychic work, or simply the work. And in the words of the great Miss Lisa of Hoodoo Conjure, she said
Okay.
her grandmother used to call it the Lord's work.
The
She said,
Lord's work.
I'm going in here to do the Lord's work.
Going here to do the Lord's work.
um, Similar to some missionary treatment of African traditional religion as evil, the conceptualization of hoodoo as devil's work is not new. This longstanding conceptualization of conjure as evil sometimes leads contemporary informers to refer to conjure as witchcraft and to view it as a force opposing Christianity, which it does not.
It does not.
Actually, hoodoo is Bible, Bible is hoodoo. And I see a lot of people out there saying that you could practice hoodoo and not use the Bible. And I have nothing to say on that other than in my practice, we use the Bible. That's all I'm gonna say on that. Um, she did also say that hoodoo is ever changing, evolving, and responding to the social culture environment as well as undergoing modification by its practitioners. Until recently, especially in public discourse, hoodoo was neither discussed nor understood in terms of religion or legitimate spiritual practice, nor was African American spirituality understood or much discussed outside of the discourse on American Protestantism. Um, Essentially, hoodoo for African Americans is embodied historical memory, linking them back through time to previous generations and ultimately to their African past. It is also a paradigm for approaching both the world and all areas of social life. Among contemporary African Americans, certain retained aspects of hoodoo were learned from parents, grandparents, and great grandparents who passed tales, information, beliefs, practices, and paradigms to their descendants, sometimes inadvertently. And more recently, marketeered hoodoo supplies and paraphernalia have made their appearance in internet catalogs and websites, supermarkets, botanicals. And as Ms. Lisa says, that's the commercialization of hoodoo and spirituality. And that's a whole other thing. Me growing up, I saw hoodoo, didn't know it was hoodoo. My aunts, I have aunts that are spiritualists. I have an aunt and a grandmother on the other side. They both are mediums. I have one that's still on this side. She's a medium. And they were the ones who really helped walk me through that door. Because at first I was scared. Because I was a tongue talking, Bible toting Christian, honey. We only believed in the olive oil to put it on your little forehead and say in the name of Jesus and get a towel and put you on the floor and when you were slain in the spirit. So when I started tapping into hoodoo, it
Right.
was it was I'm gonna say it was I'm gonna be honest. I wasn't afraid to practice hoodoo or learn hoodoo. I was more afraid of the opinions of those who I still respected in the church opinions about
Mm-hmm.
me practicing hoodoo.
Hoodoo. Right.
Because hoodoo for me just felt natural. It's still when I started learning what it was and how to do things, it was just like, oh, this I've been doing this. Like this is normal. This is it was it was easy to me. I was more afraid of the opinions of the Christian folk
Right.
and
The
what they
Christian
were going to
folks
say.
just calling the hoodoo, just calling the hoodoo voodoo conjure men and women behind the scenes though.
But half of them, everything I do now, I learned from them, especially the conjure.
Right.
People don't know that saying that you come to church and you do praise and worship, and what do? You conjure, you invoke You call in the Holy Spirit.
Holy Spirit.
You call, if you go to the real Pentecostal, they not only call in the Holy Spirit, they call in angels, they call in healing. So, yeah. So that's why when I started learning hoodoo, it felt natural. It didn't feel foreign. It didn't feel like I was, like I said, I didn't have any, what's the word I'm looking for? I didn't have any hesitation or feel like I was doing something evil. I just knew that I was doing something that if those who I still respected in the church knew I was doing, I didn't know how to explain it. Now, I don't even have to explain it. Because where I'm at now in my journey, F you and your mammy. I ain't got to explain nothing to you.
You sure don't. No.
Because the same people drinking that blood on the first Sunday, talk about this is his body and eating that crumb or that cracker. And then they got on, and then what's so funny is they do ancestral veneration every month when they do that. Because on the table that we had in our churches, most communion tables have engraved on it, it has in remembrance of me. But y'all don't do veneration. Okay. So yeah, other things about hoodoo is we believe that our ancestors walk with us, talk with us, and lead us on our journey. They come through us through intuition, through dreams, through messages. Hoodoo is forever, and every generation is built to liberate us from the systemic conditions under which hoodoo was born. Now, too, hoodoo is different depending on where your folks is from, too. Because you got
one thing's for sure about hoodoo is the Bible, the book of spells.
Well, that's why they quote it, pray it,
especially the book of Psalms.
Speak it over and over. That's definitely conjuring right there, because you conjuring up spirits. And especially if you was raised in a church like me, where we was taught about prayer and intercession, and you had to learn the word of God so that when you went to prayer, you could bring the scriptures to your remembrance. And sometimes you would just pray the scriptures. I had one intercessor that taught me how to literally put my name in the scripture and pray the scriptures that way. So like if I was praying, let's see, Psalms 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. I will put the Lord is Berwin's shepherd and I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. Berwin's cup runneth over. That's how I would pray the scriptures. So that's why when I started learning hoodoo, I was like, child, this ain't no different.
Right.
I think the only, and then if you really look at like, what is it, the Methodist Church, they use candles. And their tradition has been that when they light the candles, that's a representation that the Holy Spirit is present. And when they blow out the candles, that means the Holy Spirit has left.
I mean, in the Catholic Church, they pretty much, I don't want to say they worship saints, but yeah, all their saints have, different, I guess you could say, just like the angels have different qualities, all the saints have different qualities in Catholicism. And then they, they light candles. You can go in there and light a candle, pray for somebody. Same thing, manifesting.
Yeah.
You go in the Catholic Church, you leave some money and you light a candle. Same thing, and you say a prayer. Same thing, you manifesting. It's no different.
And you can also go there and get their holy water.
And you can also go there and get their holy water.
So if you want to do some prayer work, you can go to the Catholic Church, get some of that holy water. You can sprinkle it around your house. You can put some in your bath water to cleanse yourself. Some people even put it like in spray bottles and spray it on themselves, spray it around their house. Or some people just put it on their hands and rub their hands together and they get to praying.
Mhm.
I think though for me, what I've learned over my years of studying about hoodoo, um, prayer is also key, and I think people don't want to talk about that part as well.
Prayer is
People
what?
think it's very foundational to hoodoo
Oh yeah,
because you have to
absolutely.
build that relationship with God, your ancestors, your spirit guides, um, meditation. I think we just had this conversation the other day about when people, ask about hoodoo or how to start their spiritual journey. My first thing I always tell them is prayer and meditation. And I remember so many years, even when I was in the church. And I was a young prophet, and I wanted to learn how to really flow in the spirit and how to prophesy. And baby, them old mothers would say, "Baby, you got to get in prayer, 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 lay before God, prayer." And I'm just like, "Child, I want to know some tools. Like, tell me something. I need give me." My logical mind is like, I need a step A, B, C, and D. Then when I got over into spirituality, I kept hearing the same thing: meditate, 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 meditate. And I was just like, okay, okay. Then I finally got it. I finally got the message. That is the foundation to everything: prayer, meditation, knowing how to trust your intuition, being surrendered to spirit, trusting spirit, trusting the spirits that walk with you, knowing the spirits that walk with you. And at the end of the
Absolutely.
day, it's just knowing you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I think those are some of the, what's the word I want to use? Those are some of the things that I don't think is talked about in hoodoo. The work. People just
Wow.
think it's about the candles and the oils and making your sprays and Florida water and ashe. Everybody asheing, not knowing that hoodoo is your ashe.
It is your Ashe.
And in the
And it's
words
work.
of,
And it's work. I don't,
yeah, it
preparing
is.
for, some people, there are some things in hoodoo that you can do quick, but there is preparation that goes into it. Making things like you can make your own Florida water. Now it's easy. We can go out and buy stuff, you know what I'm saying? But our ancestors made Florida water. I'll always go back to this and say that you don't see a lot of movies that encompass a hoodoo practitioner or something like that. But Ryan Coogler's Sinners, when we went to go see that,
Mm-hmm.
and they had that hoodoo practitioner in that movie, I said, "Go ahead, Ryan Coogler, go ahead." Like, she represented,
She
her
did.
character represented, and it's like that's what it is, like exactly what it is. You went in there, you saw all of her workings, and she was standing
Mm-hmm.
there working. When they
Mm-hmm.
first introduced her into the film, she was in there working. And we saw throughout the film stuff that she had worked on and how it worked.
Yeah. And I think it was a key part in there that we talked about. It was so much in that. One day we just need to do a thing on that whole movie itself, because it was so many. I need to go watch it again and just take notes, because I think one of the things that people didn't pay attention to, which also goes back to what you were just saying, like it takes work. Hoodoo is work. When he was talking about how he had been gone those 7 years, and she said, "Who do you think whose prayers kept you safe?"
Absolutely. Absolutely.
People
That
don't talk
movie has
about,
so much stuff in it. Even the veil, it has so much stuff in it.
yeah, people don't talk about the work that practitioners do behind closed doors, which is
Absolutely.
the, which is the same work that the old church mothers do. Them church mothers, when you came in there on Sunday, baby, they had a word for you. Why? Because they have been praying and seeking God on your behalf
On your behalf.
all week. Now they showed up and they white and they had their good little Coco Chanel perfume on, and they what was the other one? White diamonds perfume, and they had their white on, baby.
Hey,
But
that's
them
saying it's
women,
stable.
they
That's saying it's
okay,
stable. Elizabeth Taylor.
but baby, those women dialed up on Sunday because they had been in them house dresses all week in them prayer closets with their Bibles in their lap, praying over the people, praying over the grandchildren, praying over the children, praying for the pastor. And sometimes some of them mothers was the ones who prayed the mess up out of the pastors and got some of them pastors exposed. But we don't even talk about that.
Clock it.
That's the work.
They ready to have that conversation.
That's the work.
Absolutely.
Even when it comes to like things of even like the prophetic, people think being prophetic or being a prophet is just prophesying. No, 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 no. It's work.
It's work.
It's a lot of pruning. It's a lot of listening. It's a lot of going through shit to help people through their shit.
Mm-hmm.
And people
Absolutely.
just think, and I remember being young, thinking, oh, I want to be so, I want to be this, I want to be that. And baby, when the tests and trials came to teach me what was in me that needed to come out of me to be a pure vessel, and that's what people don't talk about with hoodoo either. You have to have a pure heart to be a practitioner. You have to have a heart for the community. Even now, I've been praying and just asking God and ancestors to show me or to open pathways for me to be able to pass down what I'm learning to my nieces and to my nephews. Because this
I
is a
mean,
family
that's what it's
tradition.
all about, so that it don't die out. Somebody
Right.
needs to get that information.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to get that information so that it don't die out in the family. But one thing I've learned, BK, is that even if nobody passed it down to me, like I just it just came. You know what I'm saying? It found me.
Mm-hmm.
It found me. And I feel like if it's meant for you to have, if it's meant for you to have, it'll find you. Like my
Oh, it
gifts,
definitely will.
yeah, my gifts are my gifts. My gifts that I was born into this world with. My gifts, but the stuff that I've learned, over the years, it has found me. Just like you said, being a nerd, having a curious mind. Because at one point, I think we all was heavy deep into the church, and
Mm-hmm.
I love God. I have a great relationship with God. I tell people that all the time. Just because I choose not to go and go, and I still go to church. You know what I'm saying? I still go to church. I don't go to church every Sunday, but I never went to church every Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as I feel like so many of us have been brainwashed to hate ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
to hate our skin, to hate where we came from. Child, I'd have had to get it. Oh. Oh, stop, boy, stop. Um, I feel as though um we were raised to be afraid of our own power.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel
Mm-hmm.
like, religion comes with a lot of fear mongering. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
believe that God intended for it to ever be like that. But here we are. And so I feel like as long as one person gets it in a generation, in a family, whether it was the great grandmother that passed it down to the grandmother that passed it down to, the grandchildren, as long as somebody gets it, I thank God that it found me, as far as like my bloodline. So now my son and his children, if he should have children, my grandchildren, it's like they can look and say, oh, my grandmother will get you all the way together. My mother will get you all the way together. And that's what's important to me. I mean, people be like, you buying this, you buying that, you buying it. Yeah, you know I'm buying it? I'm buying it so that my legacy continues on. My son could go in there and say, well, my mama, this is my mama's, and my mama taught me how to do this with this.
Because I know my mama definitely taught me about prayer. Well, my mom not only taught me about prayer, but my mom also exemplified and cultivated the ability to hear the voice of God. It was nothing for my mom to go and spend time in prayer and come back and say, God said, do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to fast, we're going to do this, and he going to do this. And then whatever she said he was going to do, he did. So for me to even hear the voice of God was just normal. I've been hearing God speak to me since I was a kid. Now, it may have also had to do with my gifting, because whoever you are, you're born that. If you're a prophet, you're born a prophet. If you have an apostolic gifting, if you're a teacher, whatever your gifts are, you are born with that. Nobody can teach you. They can help you cultivate it, but they can't teach you how to be that. That is in your DNA. That is how you are born into this earth. So I did do a lot of things like hearing the voice of God, or even know how to pray with the word of God and move things. But it was simple for me because of part of my gifting. Because like I knew people that were even older than me. Some of the prayer warriors, they would tell me how they would go into prayer, and it would take them like 30 minutes to 40 minutes of having to praise God before they could feel the presence of God. Whereas for me, all I did was just sit there and close my eyes, and I was there. So I was just kind of like, what's wrong with me? Why am I different? You know what I'm saying? But it's my gifting. So sometimes, and things, even with the comment I made earlier about the veil, maybe just because of my gifting, that veil to me has never just been there, because I've just always been connected. And I have a very strong indigenous background as well. And growing up, it was nothing for me to hear my grandmother talking to her mom and talking to her dad. And I knew they had transitioned because I met them when I was 11, and I was there when they passed. So when I would hear her in the room talking and laughing, it was just normal. Our grandma just talking to, her relatives on the other side. And I didn't say it that way because I was young, but I was conscious of the fact that she was talking to the dead, and it was normal. I didn't feel scared. I didn't feel like, oh, she demonic, something wrong with her. You know what I'm saying? It was just normal. So even talking to the dead to me was just normal. And like I said, I have another aunt, my Aunt Yvonne. She's a very gifted medium as well. And I learned a lot from her. Growing up, even as a kid, I saw her life. I saw the blessings and the favor of God on her life compared to some others, which I won't say. And I knew that God was not a religious God because my aunt wasn't religious. Now, she loved God. She talked about God. She had her gospel music, but I also heard her listen to affirmations. I also saw her reading books on metaphysics and, Think and Grow Rich and those things of that nature. So I was like, okay, so God ain't all that deep where I got to go to church every Sunday, go to Bible study every Wednesday, sing in the choir, and I longed for the day that I longed for the day when I didn't have to go to church no more, because I was sick and tired of them Negroes. Yeah, I was ready to get away from them. I was ready to get away from them. So when I got grown and was able to leave, now I did come back on my own accord, but that's because at that time in my life, I was looking for God and I did not know to look for God outside of the confines of religion. So I went back to what was comfortable for me. So it was in that space of me going back to what was comfortable to me that I knew that the journey that I was taking was leading me somewhere. And at that time, I didn't know it was leading me to hoodoo. But over time, I began to realize, because then I kind of did what most people do. I started reading new thought books and new age and all that stuff. And that stuff just didn't click for me. It was a little too whitewashed. For me, it didn't have no power. Um, it was just a lot of mental blah, 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 blah. So even with hoodoo, for me, it just felt like it just clicked. New age wasn't for me. Um, it just wasn't for me. It wasn't for any of us anyways, but that's a whole nother story. But
Not it wasn't for any of us. You
I
want to
mean,
elaborate?
because if you really look at new age people, only people in new age are the Caucasian people. And the ones that
No, 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 no.
who
There are new age, practitioners that are of other races, including ours, including the African American race.
yeah, they black faces with white souls. What? I mean, I'm just saying. That ain't our stuff. That's not our stuff. Even though they took our stuff and
Now,
revamped it.
what I will say is now you got to keep in mind that there was a lot of tainting. Like, I don't want to say tainting. God forgive me, because I do have ancestry from that are not from Africa. But a lot of our bloodlines are mixed, including my own. And so some of us have Irish and Swedish and German and um you know our bloodlines have crossed, and there are magic practices, in other cultures. And so some of us have access to all of our ancestors' stuff. So that's what I would say. We can't say all, because when I first got
No,
started,
I'm talking about new age.
well, yeah. So what I'm saying is, when I first got started, I was not on the path of hoodoo, voodoo, everything that I've gotten into in the past 5 or 6 years, because I've been on this spiritual journey for 10 years. I would say I had my first like spiritual awakening in 2015. So before that, I always was, I got my gifts of mediumship. I figured that out when I was a kid, because I started seeing dead people, as they say, when I was a child. So I always knew about that, and it used to freak me out. It used to scare me, so I just didn't deal with it. But I always was attracted to the occult. Like, I always was attracted to the occult, like Harry Potter and the Worst Witch and all these. I loved Halloween growing up. Like, I always felt weird, or different. But I still, I went down the path of what my family took me down, you know what I'm saying? But then when I got older, I started to look at books and read this and dib and dab and that. But I didn't get serious, like have a serious spiritual awakening until 2015. And when I first started on my spiritual journey, angels, crystals, what people consider new age, meditation, Reiki, I consider all that stuff new age. That is what I was, I felt I was being that it was almost like the starter kit, right? So that was my starter kit, learning about the healing properties and spiritual properties of crystals, learning about the healing properties. You know, I had a professor back even before 2015, before I met you. I had a professor at Clark Atlanta that got me into herbs. She used to make herbal tea. And she was my professor at Clark Atlanta, my master's in social work program. And she told me about this book, 40, I think it was 20,000 or 20,000 uses for teas. I think that was the name of that book. It was either 10,000 or 20,000 uses for teas. That was my first book. Now, again, I grew up with my parents growing herbs, my grandmother growing weed and herbs and stuff like that. But they didn't really teach me, and I ain't got a green thumb. So when that professor said, look into this book, and the book wasn't a spiritual book, it showed, but it gave you all these herbs. It talked about what healing properties these herbs had to heal the body, how much you should take, like how long you should take it. Like, don't use this herb longer. You know, if you're going ingesting this herb, don't ingest this herb, but you can use this in a tincture or to make a balm for your skin. That was that was in 2010. Fast forward 5 years after that, I meet you. And then and before I met you, like I want to say 6 months, maybe 4 months before I met you, I had a palm reading, and the palm reader was like, you're an empath, and you got to use your gifts. You can't be afraid of your gifts. Next thing you know, 4 months later, I'm meeting you at the underground getting a reading. Next thing you know, I'm in the Enlightened Collective. You see what I'm saying? Like nothing. I truly believe that. I don't believe in coincidences. I believe we are called into things, and every little thing that happens in our life brings us to these points. So going back to what I was saying, when I first got into my spiritual calling, I was led more towards angels and getting to know the different archangels and different angels. And now it's coming full circle, BK, because let me tell you something. I got this book. I'm going to share this book on my live. The 72 Angels of Magic. I think I got this book in 2016. Maybe 2017. 2016, 2017. I tried to use this book once and then I put it to the side. I got a book on moon magic rituals. I got a book on candle rituals. But again, it was not from an Afrocentric perspective. This is not an Afrocentric author. But coming full circle now, I'm learning through a mentor how to use this in Solomonic magic, how to use this. I done had this book for years, child. How to use the 72 angels, how to use the 72 names of God to manifest.
Wait a minute.
I'm just saying, look, listen.
Why am I reading the 72 names of God and the angels in the Kabbalah? I just started reading it last week. But you know why that is, though? Because we know how to take other people's stuff and use it to do what we need to do. Like they do. What?
Like I said, I've had many mentors over the years, and all of my mentors have taught me different things. But one of the mentors, I ain't gonna call her name out right now on this live, but I will say that she has taken this information. Hell, I done had, like I said, I done had that book since 2015, 2016, 2017. And she done took this information and built the empire, a eight-figure empire. And I've been sitting with this book for how long? You get what I'm saying? So
but
now
you know why that
I'm learning
is?
how to, but I'm telling you, like everything comes full circle.
But that goes back to what we was originally talking about. She did the work. She did the studying. So we don't know how many hours of reading she did and meditating and asking God and spirits, hey, how do we do this? How do I do that? People think hoodoo is just about an image, and it's really a lifestyle.
Hoodoo and conjure, absolutely. Because with the 72 names of God, with the 72 angels, you are conjuring gods. You conjuring God, you conjure angels. That's what you're doing.
Just like you do in church.
Just like you do in church.
Because when they call him Elohim,
And
Jehovah Jireh,
mm-hmm.
Jehovah Tsikanu, Jehovah
Right.
Gabor, Adonai,
Come on.
the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You just went down the whole ancestral line when you said that name.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't do conjure and root work in the church. Okay, y'all do it. Okay, y'all don't. Okay, well, all right.
You know
But
what?
as much as I love Hoodoo Heritage Month because it's really, a time of us all doing it collectively and honoring the different spirits collectively. Um, there needs to be 365. You need to daily be talking to your spirits, daily talking to God, daily
Absolutely.
talking to yourself. I'm actually just had a conversation on the phone a couple nights with a friend of mine. So I've really been in this journey of defining my own voice.
Yeah.
Who am I? What is my message? What is my niche?
Mm-hmm.
What frequency am I tapped into or is going to flow through me to affect my community?
Yeah.
And even like when things happen now, I don't think about just myself. I think about what kind of work can I do for the community?
Yeah.
Is you fall? Why you look like you falling asleep? You okay? You done
No,
went
I'm
to
not
deep
falling.
meditation over there.
No, I was listening to you, but then I was just thinking about, like, I was listening to what you were saying, but then I was thinking about, like, what we talked about in the beginning, like even to your point, this is a 365 journey. But what should people be doing now during Hoodoo? I was just thinking, like, what should we be doing now during Hoodoo Heritage Month? I know what I think we should be doing, but what do you think, since you are the facilitator for the night, what do you think that we should be doing for Hoodoo Heritage Month?
Well, definitely veneration and libations and just prayers. Prayers for the community, prayers for the collective community will be covered, protected, awakened. Even if you do libations outside, if you have to do it in your house and use a bowl and pour it into a bowl and do libations, I think it's really just time to activate the ancestors.
Yeah.
Activate them through your prayers, through your libations, through your thoughts, through your words, through your frequencies, activating what's in your DNA. This is definitely a strong time because, as y'all say, the veil is thin. So y'all need to go on and pull on that veil while it's thin.
Well, the veil is thin for a lot of us all the time, but for those of us who don't have certain gifts, yes, this is the time for the people who were not born or who do not have certain gifts. The veil is thin for them. We'll just say that, for
Yeah.
them to communicate with their spirits.
Yeah. Communicate. Really, it's not even a time about being selfish right now. It's not even about asking for things. It's really just about communion and protection and covering for the whole community as a whole.
And that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, for me, I've been getting so much, people reaching out to me for rituals to remove and cleanse and protect. Remove,
Mhm.
cleanse, and protect. So remove any negativity, any evil eye, any hexes, anything, any curses, anything they on their bloodline, on them. You know what I'm saying? Cleanse it, remove it, cleanse them off. Cleanse them off. Bring peace back in, and then. So I always tell people, like, how do you explain it? When I say remove, I mean break whatever energy, break it up. Whatever energy is there or has been there or sent there. Because sometimes it don't even have to be like somebody really doing like a curse on you. You could just be around somebody with bad energy. You know, I tell people you could have sex with somebody. Condoms don't protect you from sexually transmitted demons. You could just be you, don't you get out there.
She said it out loud, Jesus. Oh, God.
I mean it. I mean it. Condoms do not protect you against sexually transmitted demons. So sometimes it's just the people that you engaging with in conversation or sexually or whatever, emotionally, they draining you. Their energy is negative. You could have just been around somebody had a demon on them. The demon liked your energy and jumped on you. So I think Hoodoo Heritage Month is about breaking that energy, breaking it up, taking it off you completely, utterly, and then putting your protection back. And not just doing it for yourself, but doing it for your home. Like doing floor washes and cleansings, cleansing your floor, like doing floor washes in your home and sweeping your home, and you get, doing, cleansing yourself off, doing a ritual bath for yourself, like you said, if you practice ancestral veneration, yes, this is a great month. Next month is also a great month to honor the dead. Honor the dead, do ancestral veneration, or just if you don't have an ancestor altar, I just tell people on Halloween, sometimes I just put snacks and treats out for my ancestors. I get them candy, I get them cakes and stuff that I knew they used to like when they were alive. Sit them some tobacco out, some rum out or something, some candies like them Bitto honeys and all kind of little old school candies and Chico sticks and stuff like that. Like I just, sardines, because I had ancestors that loved canned sardines and Vienna sausages and crackers and saltine crackers. I mean, I just feel like you said, the protection, the veneration, but also cleansing yourself off, removing stuff off, cleansing yourself off, and then putting your protection and defenses back up. You should do that on a regular basis, but I feel like if you haven't done it in a while, Hoodoo Heritage Month is a good month to do it.
It's almost like how they do in the spring cleaning.
That part.
Take it as a time of resetting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A reset time. Well, everybody, thank you for watching. We are almost at time. We are at 58 minutes. I think we've had a great conversation. This actually should have been a podcast. So I might just I might just be a Negro and put this audio on another platform. But this has been, we could talk for hours, y'all. Y'all don't know. This is my I would say this is one of my big brothers, y'all. That I didn't, I have a big brother, but we about 18 years apart. And so I believe the Lord truly sent me some brothers who were close to my age. They look out for me, I look out for them. We have each other's backs. And so Prophet BK is one of those brothers. So I thank you for doing this tonight and for sharing your wealth and your knowledge with the people. And I'm grateful for our dialogue. Now we missing our executive producer of Loving the Stars tonight, Miss April Odom, and we are missing one of our other castmates, Mr. Adam from Adam. But I feel like tonight was a good, I feel like it was a good talk. I feel like it was a great discussion, and we probably should, do another discussion in the future to get, more deep into different topics. What do you think, Prophet BK?
That sounds good.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah. I think we definitely need to do a breakdown of Ryan Coogler's Sinners. So look forward to that, guys, in the future. Up next week, I can't remember what we're talking about next week, but stay tuned. I will announce it either later on this week or early next week what our next topic is going to be for next week. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. And we will see you all next Wednesday with our Love in the Stars live on YouTube and or on TikTok. All right, guys, have a good night.
Good night.